time zones, howdy. From Tahiti and the Hawaiian Islands to the Caribbean to North Pole and down to South America, this is Coast to Coast AM. And after thinking about it a little bit, the title still works. It's just that now we're talking about other coasts. Hi, everybody. Good to be here this morning. Lots to talk about. First of all, notification of some new affiliates on the way. Those of you listening to KAGO in Klamath Falls, Oregon, can begin looking forward to Dreamland coming this next Sunday. Then comes, get this is pretty neat, I think, WSTP. Now, we've got KSTP in Minneapolis-St. Paul. Now we're going to have WSTP in Salisbury, North Carolina. Somehow the brotherhood of the STPs. Also, a biggie out in St. George, Utah coming. It'll be, they're 10,000 watts on 890, and they just come banging into this area. That's KDXU in St. George, Utah. They'll be coming up, I think, July 24th. Same deal for WSTP. Now, the news, and there's a lot of it. Over the weekend, the main subject, of course, was Bosnia, and Bosnia is really a mess. Bob Dole is going to move this week to have a vote on lifting the arms embargo. Warren Christopher, of course, thinks it is a big mistake. I think Warren Christopher is a total dud of a human being, but I've always thought so. There are 200,000 dead or injured in Bosnia thus far. And Warren Christopher was on Meat Press Sunday, said that what he's thinking now is that we ought to strengthen the UN and protect the safe havens in Bosnia, what's left of them, and that's not much. Then work towards some negotiated peace. The Rapid Reaction Force is on the way. There is yet another possible scenario being talked about tonight, and that is to airlift in European troops, not our troops, their troops. But to get them in would require first U.S. jets going in, trying to cause the Serb radars to fire up so they could destroy the anti-aircraft positions. Now, bear in mind, the Serbs have already shot down an F-16. And they're not going to have a lot of trouble with Apaches, Chinooks, Sea Stallions, Blackhawks, that sort of thing. And that, of course, is what we would use to try to move the European troops in. There are thousands of Muslim refugees on the run. The UN has all but so far given up. The West, including us, as in U.S., has no idea what we can do next. So, really, it could not be worse. There are atrocities, there's genocide going on. And I think, and I have always thought, that it's our fault, some of it. We should never have embargoed arms. Why in the world, would we want these people to be slaughtered? Why does it seem to be in our interest, and I can only imagine, I mean, nations do things, don't they, that are in their interest somehow or another. And why is it in our interest to allow this slaughter to go on? We won't let them protect themselves. It's damn near too late. But in the category of what we ought to do, it seems to me, it's obvious. Bob Dole's got the right answer on the Bosnians, and the critics out there say that will be the Americanization of the war. Well, not necessarily. We armed the Mujahideen, the Afghan rebels, and there was not the Americanization of the war. We didn't have troops over there, so why would we, of necessity, have them in Bosnia? Anyway, here's the facts on the subject, dear Art. Until recently, I was of the belief that America could not and should not be the world's policeman. But now, I'm not so sure. Seeing on a nightly basis the horrible things that are going on in Bosnia has forced me to ask the question, where do we draw the line? The film clips on TV seem to get worse each night. Which atrocity captured on film will be the one that finally pushes public opinion to the side of the U.S. involvement in Bosnia? I grew up thinking that America was more than just another country. That as a nation, we were strong enough, honorable enough, and determined enough to do things in the world that other countries could not do. We have the power and will to get to the moon, but we cannot seem to muster the will to keep genocide from happening just a few thousand miles from our own border. It seems our country has become a nation of individuals. We become so busy in our own lives that we have little time for our own children. We don't even know the names of our next-door neighbors. But does this mean we shouldn't get involved when evil forces are torturing people by the tens of thousands? So, it is an argument. I know, but I think the argument is stronger on the side of non-involvement. At least that's my assessment, and I am not an isolationist. But this is their war, and they're bound and determined to fight it, one way or the other, with or without weapons. If we have any culpability, it seems to me, it is this arms embargo. How cruel, how unusual, how immoral to keep guns out of the hands of those who are otherwise being mowed down. And that's what happens when you don't have guns, and the other guy does. There's no great mystery, except why is it in our apparent national interest, he asks again, to allow this to go on? A little bit of good news. William Barloon and David Delabarty, who stumbled across the Iraqi border, have been set free, courtesy of the office of Congressman Bill Richardson, who went over there. Apparently, he's been negotiating with the Iraqis for months. First, they wanted the end of the sanctions, UN sanctions, a letter from President Clinton, and unfreezing Iraqi money internationally. Eventually, we are told they settled for nothing and just let them go. Now, I wonder how many of you believe that there was not some behind-the-scenes deal. It is an obvious question to at least pose. Drug arrests for children in America, kids under 18, as measured by a new survey, between 1984 and 1993 are way up. From 66,000 to 84,000, up 18%, actually almost 85,000, up 18%. Drug use, in other words, in the mid-90s is up again. We all thought we had it. Well, we didn't. And last week, we were in the middle of a survey generated by something Newt Gingrich said, and I still think he's absolutely right. And that is that there should be a national referendum on what to do about drugs. The reason I want it is because it would allow us to move either in one direction or the other. And I'm all in favor of that because the present direction is the road to nowhere. Absolutely nowhere. The drug war is lost. We've either got to get tough, or, and in his words, that means people bringing in commercial quantities, get a bullet. Or we legalize drugs, take the profit and the violence and all the rest of it, as they argue, out of it, one or the other, but have a national referendum and then begin moving at least in one direction or the other. Over the weekend, again, the Sunday shows, I think it was Meet the Press, Pat Buchanan was on, and there was a big discussion between Senator Specter and Buchanan. Senator Specter is pro-choice. And Senator Specter maintained there is, in his words, a continuum. In other words, a direct line you can draw from Pat Buchanan's holy war to the guy who pulls the trigger on an abortion doctor. Now, I shortened that a little bit for continuum, but that was the line. That was the idea. You think Specter's right? Pat Buchanan's running around saying that he'll be Ronald Reagan if that's what America wants. Mr. Buchanan wants to hold congressional hearings on when life begins. Now, that's an interesting question, always has been. You know, we've been fighting about that for all the time I've done talk radio. When does life begin? Somebody I knew once said, well, that's easy. When he says to she, hey, baby, that's when life begins. But a congressional investigation, do you think they could decide, have a congressional investigation, argue back and forth, and come up with some kind of official proclamation about when life begins? Specter came after Buchanan for wanting all kinds of constitutional changes. And Buchanan basically said, yes, but, you know, with the right composition of the court, we won't need them. We'll get a court that will turn things back to the way they ought to be anyway. Do you remember the end of the week last week? I still find this to be an incredible story. Brinkley chose to talk about it at the end of his program. It was all about the woman who wasn't. The man in Utah, the poor guy in Utah, who called the police, said that his wife of 3.5 years was missing, gone. The police searched and found his wife. They also found out his wife was a man. The man's comment, the real man's comment, when he found out was, gee, do I feel stupid. Well, you know, of course he should have known. The obvious but impolite areas of he should have known, so we don't talk about those. Somehow he didn't. Hard to believe. The Washington Post asked over the weekend, why do you suppose he was not suspicious when she, in quotes, asked for a Christmas present of a drill press? Why, asked Brinkley, wasn't he suspicious when she had to lather up and shave every day? I guess I must believe this story, but I truly find it unbelievable. I mean, how could it be? How, ladies and gentlemen, could it be? Could it be? I want to jump ahead. I've got so much news, I'm never going to get it all in. I want to talk a little bit about the weather, and I know everybody's going to say, oh, here he goes again. Well, yeah, here I go again. The weather all across, right now here in the desert, it's kind of humid, has been overcast, drizzly even, rainy. My friends to the north in Reno, up into Oregon, tell me there's thunder and lightning all over the place. In Chicago and in the Midwest, Wisconsin, you guys up there know. But particularly take, for example, Chicago. There have been, I am told now, 190 deaths from the hot weather, the heat. Now, it's already cooled off, that is, at least into the mid-80s, but the county coroner in Chicago thinks the death toll will go to 300. 300 people dead from the heat in Chicago alone? Now, arguably, they got in trouble with their power there, and they lost it for about 3 days. But that's just one city. There were 44 additional deaths today alone in Chicago. Mayor of Chicago wants his area declared a disaster area because of it. Now, I've been watching the weather this year so far here, and our summer began very late and is at this moment weird. The weather patterns, it seems to me, are changing. Now, I know everybody will say it. And of course, weather gets weird. There are variations. I know that. But I have questions about this. This number of people dead because of hot weather, I wonder if anybody's thought that it might be something else other than and or in combination with the weather. That's too many people. Too many people. That many Americans don't die in a heat wave in one city, at least not in my experience. Boris Yeltsin. Now, this is a very interesting story, and I'm going to have to wind it up, I can see, with this one. But remember he had heart problems last week, supposedly? When he first had them, they said, this is a critical heart condition. Now, and since then, all of a sudden, his assistants have been saying, no, he's healthy. So, yesterday, they released a photograph of Yeltsin, black and white. NBC noticed that this supposed photograph of Yeltsin was a fake, one taken actually in April, and they proved it with each and every little detail in the photograph, identical to a photograph taken in April. Later in the day, Moscow released a second photograph, this time in color, but the same photograph taken in April. So, what does this mean? It means they're lying. Now, what does it mean if they're lying? It means Yeltsin probably is in critical condition. That's what I think. And I think very shortly you're going to hear an announcement, some sort of announcement anyway, from Russia about the death of Yeltsin. That's just my opinion. Or maybe he's just so critically drunk and messed up that they're drying him out. Or, who knows? But one thing's for sure, they're lying, and we can wonder about why. All right, well, I've got enough material. As you know, Waco hearings get underway. The Whitewater hearings get underway later today or tomorrow, depending on your time zone. Waco on Wednesday. It's not going to be an easy week for the president, for the White House. By the way, they dug down trying to find Jesse James, and guess what? So far, no Jesse James in the grave. They're going to dig more tomorrow, but they're way down there now. And so far, not even a bone. So a lot of people are starting to think maybe Jesse got away with it, faked his own death, and lived out his life, no doubt, happily someplace or another. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Art Bell, Somewhere in Time on Premier Radio Networks. Tonight, an encore presentation of Coast to Coast AM from July 17th, 1995. Somewhere in Time. Tonight featuring a replay of Coast to Coast AM from July 17th, 1995.
You're really going to love this one. Street gang activity that was once confined, by the way, this is according to Newsweek, street gang activity once confined to South Central LA, Chicago, and New York's Harlem has now been reported throughout, guess where? The U.S. military. The magazine reported in its July 24th issue that notorious LA street gangs like the Crips, the Bloods, and Chicago's folk gangsters are now active in all 4 branches of the armed services and at more than 50, count them, 50 military bases around the U.S. It said most gang crimes, such as drug trafficking, robbery, assault, and at least 10 cases of homicide, have taken place off-base and off-duty. But it adds that Army enlisted men have been photographed flashing gang signs in the middle of the Gulf War. It also said some gangs stake out turf on aircraft carriers at sea. There was a gang member that ran for office in Chicago. He didn't make it, but he ran. And now we hear they're in the U.S. military. That to me is actually unbelievable. I was in the Air Force, and to imagine gang activity in the military is about as unimaginable for me as anything I've ever heard. But there you are. That's Newsweek. On the Miss America contest, Kathy from Oregon writes, "Who needs it?" Thinking further on your discussion of the swimsuit issue, I think it's time the whole thing either develops some relevance or goes the way of blue eyeshadow. Besides being blatantly sexist, it is just plain corny. Why do we need to choose a female ideal anyhow? Is this some twisted evolution of pagan virgin sacrifice? I've had plenty of female role models, none of which would be candidates for the Queen of Cosmetics crown. Women of great spiritual depth and personal sacrifice like Mother Teresa. Women who are gracious artists like Beverly Sills. Women of intelligence, poise, and strength like Margaret Thatcher. Women who help us laugh like Whoopi Goldberg. And all the women with the incredible gift of encouraging others. Though they rarely become famous, like my mother, teachers, friends, even strangers who have helped me in life. These women are beautiful. Your fan, Kathy. And so, maybe that will be the attitude and the swimsuit contest will go. But you know, Mario Cuomo, who was a guest on the Brinkley show Sunday, said, come on, let's face it. Given a chance, he says, the swimsuit contest shall continue. The American people will vote for it. I think they will. Otherwise, it's going to come down to which contestant wants to save the most whales. But Mario Cuomo said on Brinkley, the American people actually, in his view, would vote for not only swimsuits, but more violence on TV, more sex, and all the rest of it. They'd vote for bikinis, or less, if they could. Is that true? Tell the truth. Tell the truth. Would you, if instead of this Miss America pageant asking whether or not to eliminate the swimsuit contest, if it was should they wear nearly nothing bikinis or less, would you vote for that? Would you vote for more violence on television? More sex, as Mario Cuomo suggested? Interesting question, and probably Mario Cuomo is correct. Sad but true. Probably not true of a lot of you, who I consider generally to be of a higher intellectual bent. But of the great American masses, he's probably right. Okay, let us open the lines. Anything you want to talk about, fair game. Here are the numbers. If you are a first-time caller to the program, it's area code 702-727-1222. 702-727-1222. The wildcard direct dial lines, area code 702-727-1295. 702-727-1295. The west of the Rockies line, 1-800-618-8255. Toll free, 1-800-618-8255. The east of the Rockies line, 1-800-825-5033. 1-800-825-5033. Zenith, America's last TV maker, bought for $350 million by a Korean company. Goodbye, Zenith. East of the Rockies, you're on the air.
Hi, Art. How you doing?
I'm doing.
Oh, good. Today on Chuck Carter, he had on Captain Joyce Riley. She's a military nurse. And Peter, he's a researcher, and he didn't get his last name. And they're investigating the biological Crohn syndrome. I'd like to see him as guests on your show if possible, but from their interview, I just wonder, are our troops being used as pawns? Are the people being used as pawns? Is this, it's like for population control or something.
What?
New World, well, it's like the deaths, the heat deaths, all these deaths, everything is dying. It's like a New World Order population control agenda or something.
You think maybe the New World Order people threw the heat on Chicago? I am very curious about what's going on there and with our weather. It's odd. Part of the quickening? Oh, I don't know. You might argue. You really might. That's too many people. Does anybody out there ever remember 300 people dying from a heat wave in the Midwest in the summer? I don't. I sure don't. And they showed an awful lot of people in Chicago who had never recalled anything like this either. A quirk? Maybe. Part of a more general disruption of the force. I don't know how else to put it. Maybe sort of a disruption of the force. Whatever that is. Wildcard line, you're on the air.
Oh, hi, Art.
Hello.
My name is Jack, and you really turned on my radio.
Okay, Jack, I'm sorry, I missed where you were. Where are you?
I'm in Houston, Texas.
Oh, Houston, Texas. All right.
Listening to KTRA 740.
The mighty.
Yeah, Art, my reason for calling tonight is to ask a question and make a comment about life on Mars.
Yes.
My question is about your Sunday show, Dreamland. Where did you get the idea to call it Dreamland?
Well, I did a show like it in Las Vegas for a year prior, which was called Area 2000. When we came out here, it went from being a single radio station show to being syndicated, and we thought a new name. So Dreamland came because we are adjacent to Dreamland, a place called Dreamland. Have you heard of it?
Las Vegas?
Area 51 it's called.
Oh.
And I live about 65 miles west of Las Vegas, and over the mountain range is Dreamland.
Oh.
It also embraces the topic of the program.
Oh, I thought maybe you got it from a song by Van Morrison.
No.
Called Call Me Up in Dreamland.
No.
Oh. And about life on Mars, Art.
Yes, hard, but maybe possible. A little dry, desert like.
I seriously doubt there is life on Mars.
What?
But I think there's a distinct possibility that there's life in Mars. That they could have like underground cities there.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of complete self-sustained underground city?
Well, I've heard of it.
I think they put
Well, you would think every now and then they would pop their heads up for something or another.
Well, if they're well camouflaged, maybe they have good camouflage. But I mean, they have like underground cities there in Nevada, don't they?
I'm unable to talk about that, sir.
Oh.
Directive 4. Listen, I've got to run, but thank you very much. Underground City, something fun. Call me, that kind of stuff. West of the Rockies, you're on the air. Hello.
Yeah, this is the Shadow from Citrus Heights.
Citrus Heights.
Yeah.
I have a cat named Shadow.
Yeah, no, I've called you before. Unfortunately, you turned down the volume on me on that time. I think I irritated you. I'm a shortwave listener myself. I understand that you advertise shortwave radios now and then.
Now and then.
Yeah. Anyway, for example, there's a little correction. The Moscow radio, you know, that you talk about sometimes?
Radio Moscow, yeah.
Right. That has been changed now. They don't call themselves that. They call themselves Voice of Russia.
Yeah, I know, but basically, sir, it's the same voice.
I was just seeing if you were aware of that, that's all.
Oh, yes, I am.
Yeah, another thing I was thinking, you know, the guy was talking about Mars. Let me add a little bit to that, okay? And I was just thinking, I'm into astronomy and stuff like this, and I was thinking that for example, one place for landing was, I would use, if I was coming towards the Earth, would be landing on the dark side or the far side of the moon, okay, in our communication. If I didn't want you to hear it, it's like your phone you talked about, it cannot be heard with a scanner.
What if you could use a tropay from the moon?
Anyway, using communications, that would be scrambled. You could pick up from a scanner, no one on Earth could pick it, be encrypted or whatever. And that's maybe the reason why we're not hearing him.
Well, it is absolutely true, sir. Thank you. As a matter of fact, we really would not detect the use of spread spectrum technology. Some of you know what that is. It's fairly new. It's being used by some of the new portable phones as well. It's not quite, in my opinion, perfected yet. It has a couple of difficulties in it. Makes the telephone sound very hollow. But what spread spectrum does, I guess I'll put it to you this way. You're listening to me now on a radio station that is on a frequency, AM or FM or whatever. Spread spectrum takes what you're listening to right now and spreads it over all kinds of frequencies so that a little bit of information is here and there, and without the ability to decode where the information is when, you would not even be aware that anything was there. That is spread spectrum technology. It's being utilized now for satellite. Most of the wire services, Associated Press, the rest of those, distribute by spread spectrum on satellite. So the caller is correct. Unless it was a signal designed to be detected and not one designed to be stealth, we might not ever know it would be there. It's true. East of the Rockies, you're on the air.
Yes, all right. My name is Eddie. I'm calling from St. Cloud, Minnesota.
Yes, hi, Eddie.
Hi. 1 minute. Let me turn my radio down.
Oh, good, yes. Do that. Get that sucker down. Get it off.
I just real briefly want to let you know that I have real good information that we'll be getting Dreamland here at KNSI.
Oh, you do?
Yes.
Well, you guys always seem to know these things before I do.
It seems to be a Minnesota thing, doesn't it?
Actually, it's nationwide, sir. A lot of times people like you call me up and say things like you just said. 9 times out of 10, it turns out to be true. You know, I'll call my network. My network will call the radio station. They'll say, oh, yeah. We're going to be doing that. So I hope you get it.
I was told by someone in the know that it'll be within the next 60 days we'll be getting Dreamland.
I see.
And I've been listening to you for about 6 months, and I've been dying to hear Dreamland.
I can understand that. It's a fascinating show.
Okay, you have a good morning. You have a great show.
All right, thank you. Next week on Dreamland, Max the Crystal Skull. Max the Crystal Skull. I'm looking forward to that one. Oh, by the way, I wanted to go out of my way to say thank you to whoever it was, and I should have your name, who sent me the Whale Kaboom film. Do you remember that? It was a story in Oregon that occurred many years ago. And a big old whale washed up on shore in Oregon. And the job to dispose of the whale fell to the Oregon State Highway Department. And I suppose they sat around over a couple of beers trying to figure out what they were going to do with the whale. The story said they could only figure the highway department because highways are big and whales are big. Anyway, they had to figure out what to do with it. So they got all this dynamite. All this, it's a story right out of the turkeys falling out of the helicopter on WKRP. They got all this dynamite and blew this whale into smithereens, only they weren't quite smithereens. See, they figured it'd blow it into small pieces and the seagulls would eat it up. Well, it blew into pieces. In fact, the explosion was absolutely spectacular. Unfortunately, one of the pieces was big enough to come down and crush an automobile. The spectators took off for their lives as whale blubber splattered them into the sand. And somebody else called me and said, oh, this story is not true. It's an old myth or something. Oh, no. I have a beautifully clear, wonderfully funny, in retrospect, videotape of the whole occurrence. So whoever sent me the tape called Whale Kaboom, thank you. It's glorious. I shall keep it forever and treasure it. You can't imagine. It looked like something out of Star Wars when this whale went up. It was unbelievable. And then these big splats start coming down, and they showed a photograph of the car totally crushed by a piece of whale flap. It was unbelievable. We'll be right back. Hey, Art, Chicago, Kickwit, Ebola, O'Hare, airlines, coincidence? Just exercising the Chuck Carter side of my brain. Jim in Tupelo, Mississippi. Art, the ABC News at 11 o'clock this evening, which I heard on KBI a few minutes ago, reported the BATF has obtained 22 cargo airplanes capable of transporting heavy weapons. An ATF spokeswoman confirmed this to ABC. So to avoid any further involvement of the U.S. military, oh, I see. Let's use this new ATF Air Force to transport arms to Bosnian Muslims once the Senate finally overturns this ridiculous embargo. Maybe they could take Warren Christopher along for the ride and pack an extra chute. Steve. Yeah, I really, really don't like Warren Christopher. I don't know what it is about the man. I really don't. Listening to him, I really don't. I mean, in a way, he says, no, he doesn't even say the right things. He says them in diplomatese very well. There's just something like that. I do not like Warren Christopher. East of the Rockies, you're on the air. Good morning.
Hi, Art. This is Jeff in Seattle.
How you doing?
Oh, pretty good. How about you?
KBI, which becomes Como at 1 a.m.
Yeah, that had me confused for a while there. Is it okay if I change the subject a little?
Always.
Okay, about Newt Gingrich's drug referendum.
Yes.
He included marijuana in there,
I'm afraid so, yes.
but he didn't say any of the other uses of it besides just getting high.
Well, that's true. His only concern with regard to the referendum is on the use of drugs as drugs, not paper products or clothing or wood products or anything else.
But you can use it.
We all know, sir.
Okay. Well, that's all I wanted to say.
All right. Thank you very much. Yeah, sure. Hemp can be used for many other things. It is true. But it would threaten many other industries. Now, is that a factor? No, of course not. Would the paper industry or the wood industry or the clothing industry be affected? No. Wildcard line, you're on the air.
Yeah, hi, Art. This is Roy calling from Eugene.
Hi, Roy.
How you doing?
Okay.
I sent you a fax earlier, and I'm sure if you got it because you get so many a day.
Yes, I do. About what?
It was in regard to the Santilli film coming out of England.
No, I don't recall it.
Oh, okay, great.
How many pages?
Just one. A single page with a cover page.
Matter of fact, I'm going to pick up the phone during this next break, and I'm going to call Ray Santilli in England. Must be about the right time to call him, and I'm going to see if I can line something up.
Okay, I have some more information on the film. I talked to a gentleman here, he's out of California, who has the exclusive rights to the film for distributing it on videotape.
Yes.
And I guess that, from what he has told me, and I couldn't verify my facts.
Sir, I'll tell you what. Do you want to hold on?
Hey, you bet.
I've got a break coming up here, so hold on where you are. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Art Bell Somewhere in Time. Tonight featuring a replay of Coast to Coast AM from July 17th, 1995. Somewhere in Time. Tonight featuring a replay of Coast to Coast AM from July 17th, 1995.
To those of you just joining at this hour, hello, welcome. We'll review the news here in a moment. I've got a caller on hold who was in the middle of saying something about Ray Santilli's Roswell film, and that he has a friend who has the distribution rights in California or something. Is that right, sir?
Yes, sir, it is.
On videotape, huh?
On videotape. What I have now is he gave me a pretty detailed description of what's on the film. He gave me some information on other parts of the film that he has not seen yet, but has heard what is supposedly on the film. And he gave me the story about how the films came into possession of Mr. Santilli. And
well, I'm going to get that right from the horse's mouth. I'm going to be interviewing Ray Santilli on the air.
Okay.
How's that?
Oh, that's great. And that's sometime this week?
Yeah. Of course, he's in London, so I think it's just coming up around 9 o'clock or so in the morning in London or before it. And I didn't reach him this last break, but I'll call him in the next break, and we'll line it up for tomorrow or something.
Okay. Can I add one more thing really quick?
Sure.
Okay. What I did receive from my friend who has he's the director of the UFO Audio Video Clearinghouse in California.
Right.
Of footage that you have on your bulletin board and all that, and these are just incredible.
I know.
These are really incredible.
I know they are, and it's a great teaser for the film, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. And if any of you want the stills, they're all over cyberspace. They're on the internet at various locations, and we have them on the bulletin board. You need a computer and a modem, and a little bit of know-how in how to download using some sort of protocol, Z modem or whatever. You can call our bulletin board 24 hours a day. They are awesome. I mean, there's no way to explain it. In fact, I found them particularly shocking because, to me, they look like what an alien ought to look like. Kind of a vague image of us, if you will, but enough different so you say, oh my God. See, that's the kind of reactions I've been getting universally. All right, new affiliate news coming shortly, coming attractions next week, WSTP. In Salisbury, North Carolina, will begin carrying Greenland. Now, I thought that was kind of neat because we have KSTP, Minneapolis, St. Paul, and now WSTP, and we have both. Coming soon, KAGO. No, I'm sorry, I should have said coast to coast. WSTP will be carrying coast to coast to the line. KAGO in Center Falls is the one adding Greenland beginning August 6th. And also a big pickup, KDXU in St. July 24th. Now, they're a big one on 890, and I suppose if you're anywhere in Utah or the surrounding states, including, I might add, here in Nevada, 890 comes in like a bomb. So, beginning July 24th, we will be there as well. The news is not good. Bosnia is, of course, a disastrous mess. It was the subject of most of the weekend shows. The safe areas are falling like 10 pins. The UN is huddled in a corner somewhere. Warren Christopher is talking about sending in U.S. jets followed by helicopters carrying European ground troops. And nobody really knows what the hell to do. Bob Dole wants to arm the Bosnians. The president does not. It's just, it's a big mess. We are, to some degree, responsible for not allowing Bosnians to defend themselves, and I just don't know how Warren Christopher and company can sleep at night. Yeltsin. Very interesting story on Yeltsin. You remember the heart problems last week? The first reports that it was serious? Well, yesterday, Moscow released a photograph of Yeltsin, reportedly to show him rosy cheeked heart. Well, NBC tore the photograph apart and determined it was one taken of Yeltsin last April. Now, what does that mean? It means they're lying. Then later in the day, Moscow released a second photograph, the same photograph, this time, though, in color. Again, exactly the same photograph taken in April. So they're lying. It's a ruse. It means Yeltsin is probably... You know what my guess is? That we will soon hear that Yeltsin is suddenly dead. Some kind of massive heart attack. Or maybe they'll just never tell us that he died at all. The number of dead in Chicago is unbelievable. 190 so far. The coroner there thinks it'll go to 300 before it's all over. From the heat. 300 dead from the heat. Now, since when does that occur in a single American city? Ever. Somebody called a little while ago and suggested that it's because of modern technology. Because we've got air conditioning, we've got this, we've got that, we live inside, our bodies are not rough and tough anymore, and so if the power goes off and we get hot, we dump. And the older people, of course, die first, and I guess that is true. The mayor of Chicago wants to declare it a disaster area. Newsweek magazine reporting that you're not going to believe this. There are now gangs in the U.S. military. The Crips, the Bloods, and the Chicago folk gangsters are all now active in all four branches of the U.S. Armed Services and at more than 50 military bases around the U.S. It is said most gang crimes, like drug trafficking, robbery, assault, and at least 10 cases of homicide have taken place off base and off duty, but it adds, and kept this, enlisted Army men have been photographed flashing gang signs during the middle of the Gulf War. It also said some gangs are now staking out turf on aircraft carriers at sea. Can you imagine that? Staking out turf on aircraft carriers. The Waco hearings will begin Wednesday. The Whitewater hearings will begin today. It is going to be a very, very tough week for the administration. Whitewater hearings are going to include an inquiry into the Vince Foster case. There is still something there. I have always had to believe that Vince Foster did commit suicide. But I think that body was moved. Maybe we'll find out. And of course, the Waco hearings beginning Wednesday. Schumer and company all believe the Waco hearings are going to be used to discredit the government, to destroy what efforts at gun control have been made so far. And, the only reason I can figure that they're worried that this will hurt the case for gun control is if the government is shown to have been wrong and just slaughter those people. Otherwise, you would think that if they were all in the right, it would help the case for gun control. But no, they're saying ahead of time they're worried it's going to hurt the case. Now, why would they be worried if the truth was on their side? Jesse James, they're digging, and there's no Jesse James thus far in the grave, and they're way down there. So they're going to keep digging tomorrow. But presumably, if they don't come up with Jesse pretty soon, then they're going to conclude it was an empty grave, and it means, I guess, Jesse James fooled everybody. And lived out his life well someplace. Who knows? I guess tomorrow we'll know. West of the Rockies, you're on the air.
Yes, hi, Art. This is Rick from San Francisco.
Hi, Rick.
I wanted to comment on three things real quickly. One, I agree with that gentleman that I think technology and your body has a lot to do with the way you feel.
Sure.
I was born and raised in Las Vegas. I've been up here for 2 years now, and I'm complaining when it's 80 in San Francisco. I'm like, what is this? It's a heat wave.
Yeah, I know.
And then people are like, well, I thought you grew up in Las Vegas. It's like, you know what, you're right, but it feels hotter. I mean, it just feels hot to me since I'm haven't been used to it.
Well, remember that in San Francisco you've got a lot of humidity that Las Vegas.
Yeah, but not as bad. Number two, being that I have been up for 2 years, correct me if I'm wrong, but there have been no earthquakes. I have not felt an earthquake since I've been up here, and I really talked to some other people for longer. It's been dead up here. There's absolutely nothing going on up here.
My view would be that's bad.
That's bad. Right, I mean, that's a great time.
Well, it depends on your point of view. Most people hold the view, a lot of geologists, that small earthquakes relieve pressure, and that when you have a long period of time that goes by, the pressure builds. In other words, between shifting tectonic plates. And so that a long period of inactivity is bad news.
Right, and I know you're very knowledgeable on earthquakes and stuff. Is it true that the Hayward Fault is the one that we have to worry about up here as opposed to the San Andreas? Because the Hayward Fault apparently runs through major metropolitan areas. Are you familiar with that at all?
Yes, it is. Yes, I am, and yes, that is true.
Okay. And my third question is, I have done with a lot of people listening to you, and most of them, like myself, are gay, and it's funny that when they listen to you and then when they listen to your callers, it's remarkable how they say, you know what, this is the first time I have ever heard this in my entire life. So yeah, we've seen it on TV.
Heard what?
Well, just people severely against people. Not necessarily you, but callers, comments and stuff. And, I talk to them, I said, well, surely you run into some opposition, And I'm like,
Again, sir, all right, thank you. Again, you're in San Francisco, and your perception is being affected by where you are. You are in an area where, per capita, there are more gay people, arguably, I suppose, than almost anywhere else in the U.S. So, everywhere is not like San Francisco. Just as earlier in your life, everywhere is not like Las Vegas. Every place is, in its own way, quite distinct, and when you move from Las Vegas to San Francisco, you make a big cultural shift, and there is a big cultural shift. Wildcard line, you're on the air. Hello? Going. Wildcard line number 2, you're on the air. Wendy, you're going to have to speak up. You're not the hamburger girl, are you?
Oh, no, I'm not.
Okay, well, that's all.
No, I was calling because actually I had comments about the weather because this year has been the weirdest weather for our area. And it's really weird. I was just wondering if everybody out there, I'm not a paranoid person or anything like that, but
What is this lady talking through a fucking potato?
show many times. Something's up. Mama Earth, Mama Nature, God, whoever you want to talk about is getting ready to do something.
Well, you think more people would be worried about it? I mean, we complain about, the rainforest and everything, but then there's, other people in the states here that complain about, we can't, we have to, we can't save the environment, we have to cut down these trees, or we have to do this, we have to do that. But then we turn around and we complain because, oh no, they're going over there, they're cutting down the rainforest and not to have any air. There's just different things like that, and that sometimes I kind of wonder.
There was a guy, Wendy, last week who called me up and said, Mother Earth is like a living organism. And one of these days soon, she is going to shed us as a dog would fleas.
That makes a lot of sense to me.
Does it?
Yeah, it's kind of carried away that thing, but yeah, we're kind of the biggest parasite here, I believe, as far as, there's a lot of us that just don't care.
Well, there's some, to me, Wendy, thank you, there's a middle ground between the general biblical view that the earth and its resources are here to be used, and we're put here to be used by man, and therefore we should use them and not worry about it. And the environmentalists and tree huggers who are worried about, I am to some degree an environmentalist. I mean, nobody in their right mind wants dirty air. They don't want to have to breathe dirty air, and there's a lot of dirty air around. You don't want your water polluted, right? No, of course you don't. You don't want a lot of things fouled in the environment in which you live. That only makes common sense. That doesn't mean that you protect every last ant that walks down the pavement. But it does mean that you're aware of your environment and try to do things to maintain it as best you can. Is that middle ground? I guess so. Is that where I am? It certainly is. Does that make me a moderate? Probably. Is that a terrible place to be? According to some, it is. I'll be right back. West of the Rockies, you're on the air.
Hi, Art.
Hello.
Art?
That's me.
I'm calling from Palm Springs.
Okay.
I have always felt that our most favored nation trade agreement with China is financing their army and the progress of the building you referred to when you were over there.
Well, it is.
And a long time ago, a wise person said to me that we only have one thing to fear, and that's the Yellow Army. Now,
Well,
I'd like to hear what your listeners have to say about that.
all right, listeners, thank you. Do you fear the Yellow Army? The great masses from the East. I do not. The nature of warfare now is not such that you would talk, particularly when you're talking to China, of great masses coming forth across the Pacific or through any other land mass movement toward us. No, I don't fear that. But communist China, and I was there, and I can tell you, is still communist China. In other words, despite the incredible economic activity in communist China, they are still communist China. They're still communists. They're not nice communists. They're not reformed communists. They're communists who want money, but they're communists. And we better not forget it. That's what I would say. You could feel the chill when you went across the border. I mean, there's no question about it. First time caller line, you're on the air. Hi.
Hey,
Yes, sir.
Wayne.
Hi, Wayne, where are you?
San Diego, Togo.
Yes, sir.
Really enjoy your show.
Thank you.
I'm hooked on it. I've been listening every night for about 3 months now. But a couple of things. One thing you mentioned about gangs
In the
in
military.
the military. That's the oddest thing. But I just don't see how that happened.
I frankly don't either. It's unimaginable to me. I mean, I was in the went through basic training. I can't imagine a gang member could make it through, but there you are.
I wonder if that's because I think it would kind of be great to be you, not to be you, but I kind of imagine you in the studio or whatever. You're there by yourself, and I was wondering if you could describe the area, what it's your surroundings there, you know, in the studio.
Well, I do the show from a hammock, and I have two Tahitian girls who wave palms and keep me cool and comfortable, and bring me fruity cocktail drinks as I do the program.
Oh well. Well, one other thing I wanted to comment on. Have you seen Die Hard 3?
No, not yet. I'm looking forward to it, though.
Well, I saw the first two, and I thought they were great. And the third one, it was alright, but
you were disappointed.
Well, it was great. You know, you see it's a really good movie, and at the end of it, you have a good feeling, you know, and then you see a movie that's not so good, and sometimes you might even have a kind of a bad feeling. Yeah. I thought I got that kind of feeling after this one because of, well, you know, the black guy that's on there, he's portrayed as a racist against white people, and white people messed up black people.
Well, now, don't tell us the whole plot.
I won't tell you the whole plot. Well, anyhow, I just didn't think it was right the way
All right. Let's hold it there. Did people die harder in the movie?
No, not really.
Oh, okay. Well, usually you've got to have more violence. Each new episode has got to be wilder than the last to work. We'll be back.
You're listening to Art Bell, Somewhere in Time on Premier Radio Networks. Tonight, an encore presentation of Coast to Coast AM from July 17th, 1995.
Well, this is a kick in the pants. I just talked to Ray Santilli in London during this last break. In an hour, about 2:30 Pacific time, we're going to interview Ray Santilli. Get ready. Who you say is Ray Santilli? Well, he is the guy who's got the Roswell film that is causing so much stir, and well it should. So that's what I mean when I say what we do here on the air is unpredictable, spontaneous, and I just do it when I can do it. And I talked to Ray, he said, well, I got a little interview to do here now. I said, well, how about in an hour? I said, okay, let's do it. So in an hour, I'm going to call Ray Santilli, if we can get through. And we're going to talk to him about the Roswell film, and maybe break through some of the rumor and myth and find out exactly what this guy has. I'm looking forward to that. So that's about an hour from now, and that's the way things frequently occur on this program. Back to the phone lines for now. Any subject is fair game. West of the Rockies, you're on the air. Hello.
Hey, Art, this is Christopher from Dawson Creek calling you again.
Dawson Creek, way up in the middle of almost even more of nowhere than I'm in.
Yeah. Yeah, just turn my radio down.
Thank you.
Just a thought.
Boy, Richard is very well impressed.
Hi.
What station do you listen to in Dawson?
I listen to KOMO out of Seattle.
Wow. Boy, I heard it for a second there. They put a good signal up into Dawson Creek.
Oh, yes, do they ever?
Tell tell everybody where Dawson Creek is.
Okay, it's about 700 miles north of Vancouver.
All right, way up there.
Yeah.
Anyway, what's on your mind?
Okay, about a week ago when I called you, you were asking about how the roads up here don't heave in the wintertime.
Well, we were talking about the fact that the Alcan Highway, what used to be called the Alcan, do they still call it the Alcan?
No, they call it the Alaska Highway. Yeah.
Anyway, they paved it. When you get down to 70 below zero or so, you would think it would just heave right up.
Yeah, well, anyways, I was talking to my dad who works for the Ministry of Highways.
Ministry of Highways.
Yeah. And he was saying what they do is they put gravel underneath the pavement. He was saying they put about 2-3 feet of gravel under the pavement.
Right.
And he was saying they have pilings as well. And that way it stabilizes the ground, and that way the permafrost doesn't affect the pavement. Yeah, but I never knew that until I asked my dad.
Well, now we know. I wonder what the Ministry of Highways would do with a beached whale.
With a beached whale?
Yeah. And the Ministry of Highways down in Oregon blew one up.
Are you really?
Yeah, they blew it into a million pieces, and some of them, one piece was so big it came down and crushed a car.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I said, and I didn't believe it. And somebody sent me a videotape. I've got a videotape of this whale blowing up the damnedest thing you ever saw.
Wow.
All right, well, listen, thank you very much for the call, Ministry of Highways. Wildcard Line, you're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning, Art.
Hello.
Well, the fellow that moved to San Francisco and is disappointed he hasn't felt any earthquakes, he may be like I don't usually feel them if they're under a magnitude 3. But if you check his Friday newspaper, there's a little feature in there called GeoWatch by the USGS, and it shows everything above 1.0.
There you are.
And they average about 20 earth movements a week.
Well, maybe he needs to sit in his chair very, very quietly, just waiting for the slightest little shake.
Well, I got kind of sneaky. I was disappointed about not feeling any here in Las Vegas, so I hung some pendulums up.
Yes, I know.
I can tell by the movement of the pendulum, but otherwise I wouldn't even notice it.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, that man made an earthquake detector, which you can do electrically. In other words, you just hang something from the ceiling with some weight to it, and put a circle around it, and make it a conductive circuit so that when it moves and touches the ring, it sets off an alarm. So you can make yourself a cute little earthquake detector that way if you really want to know. Now, I'm not sure how that would react for pure upward thrust, but for most earthquakes, I think it would register. Wildcard Line, you're on the air. Hello.
Radio Free America.
Yes, indeed.
Well, I couldn't believe a Rush today on the show. Mission Go Waco.
What choice does he have?
And
What about
he said, there's people that want to keep this thing covered up, and there's people that don't want to tell what really happened down there. So, and Brian Ross, he was lied about Waco in the past, and now they're doing a piece on one of their shows on ABC, and it's just really blowing the whole story backwards. But they're doing a piece on the CSDF now, so why they used it down there. So we're making strides, but the hearings are not going to be live. According to my sources, they're going to be tape delayed on C-SPAN, where they can edit in and out if they want to, in Washington and so on. And it's pretty much, so far that I know of, it's stacked in the government's favor right now. So we need to call our congressman and C-SPAN. But I wanted to talk about you got the time about Buchanan and on
they think that we need constitutional amendments for everything we disagree with.
Right, I agree with that too.
And so that's where I found myself in agreement with Spectre, but oddly not much liking Spectre. So there you are.
What do you think about Schumer? I'll talk to you later.
Again, my comment is, why are these people in fear of the Waco hearings? Why do they think that it will set back gun control? The only way that could be is if it turns out that Waco was a gigantic misstep, a big blunder, or even a criminal act on the part of the government. If it comes out that way, then yeah, you're damn right it's going to hurt gun control. So, to me, their fear just says that they somehow know what's coming. You know what I mean? East of the Rockies, you're on the air. Hello.
I wanted to tell you this is KTMO, Kansas City, Missouri, Clay County.
Yes, ma'am.
Missouri is also in Clay County, and they did find bones down there today.
They did.
And they're going to start digging again at 8 o'clock this morning.
Now, see, the evening news said they had not found one bone.
Well, they showed it on our news here locally, and they showed 2 casket handles, and the casket was in bended wood, and it fell in on itself. And they're going to have to take the bones out piece by piece. They thought they were going to have to raise up the casket. They were going to put a couple of limbs down there, but there wasn't anything to raise up.
I wonder if we're going to be able to make a determination that Jesse was shot in the back or something.
Well, I don't know really. They said that there might, as many times as he was shot, that they might be able to find on the bones where he'd been shot.
Either that or it'll turn out to be Jimmy Hoffa.
But anyway, I just wanted to tell you what was the latest. They're going to start bring the bones out again at 8 o'clock this morning and media from all over the world up there, even selling T-shirts.
Really? Why are we doing this?
Well, they just want to put it to rest once and for all whether or not it was Johnson. One of their local newsmen erroneously called him Jesse Jackson today. So now feel the same about Warren Zevon as you do.
Really, there's something about that guy. God, he's just nothing but a mouthpiece, a tool. It's like he has no original thought. What he says about Bosnia makes me sick. Our policy about Bosnia makes me sick. I suppose you could say he's saying what he should say. It's what the president feels, but it's disgusting.
Looks like Charlie Chan to me.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay.
Clay County, Missouri, huh?
Yes, that's Kearney. This is northeast of here. I live in Kansas City North, which is on the north side of the river.
Somehow, I would have been happier had they not found anything.
Well, they had a lead shield. It was down about 4 feet. They had to get that out. Then they went on down 6 feet where they found this casket, and they showed the 2 handles. The rest of them had fallen in on top of itself.
Well, they need Geraldo Rivera there to open it all up. Thank you very much for the call. Remember that when Geraldo opened up that, whatever it was, secret something or another, and there was a whole bunch of absolutely nothing in there? West of the Rockies, you're on the air.
Oh my goodness, I got you.
Yes, you did. Turn it off and tell us where you are.
Oh, this is still on the green.
Okay.
I had a suggestion regarding your 8x10 photo shop when you had that debate.
Yeah, that was a problem, right?
Well, a lot of people looking at photographs, me being included, don't have access to a computer that we could get the photo and all that. But I had a thought about it. If you can get 8x10 copies of a negative, 35mm negative, relatively cheap, especially at Walmart or something like that. And if you charge $5 or so,
I'm not gonna do it.
Let me finish though.
Yeah,
I think you'll like it. It'll cover most likely postage, the envelope, and what have you. You can put on there, thank you, our bell, and whatever is above the cost of mailing them out, you can give to the Porn Bell Animal Shelter. You see what I'm saying?
You're still setting me up for a terrible ordeal, and well, I really did. I went through a terrible ordeal, and at the time I was working for only KDWN in Las Vegas.
Right.
All right, so thousands come in, right? I go to the radio station and I say, help.
amazing.
So, we'll end up helping a lot of animals out of this. Thank you and everybody else.
I did have one more comment.
Sure.
You were talking earlier about technology making us weaker and being more susceptible, like you're such a
Yes.
Are you familiar with James Burton?
Ooh, that's a familiar name.
He did a show back in '78 called Connection.
Vaguely familiar.
It's a scientific program. It's a little dry, but it's awesome. So it talks about America's world interdependency on technology, using it how they don't understand it, but use it anyway as they move.
Right.
It's a 10-part series, and it's on the Learning Channel, and I highly recommend it.
All right. I appreciate that.
Well, thank you for letting me talk, sir.
Well, thanks for talking. Yeah, we are dependent, and I think we're used to a narrow range of temperatures that we're able to keep because we have heaters and we have air conditioners. And for the most part, we live in this narrow range, and so our bodies become used to it. And I guess with the power failure and the heat and the fact that people are living longer in these controlled environments, you get a disaster like Chicago. Either that or it's something else. That's a lot of dead people in heat. They're projecting, the coroner in Chicago is projecting up to 300 people dead because of the heat. I may be interviewing Ray Santilli at the bottom of the next hour. Ray Santilli is the man with the Roswell photographs. This is kind of a surprise thing, even though I knew it was coming. I didn't really expect we'd get an opportunity to do it this morning. But we are going to do it. And it should be very revealing, and maybe we can go toward separating myth from reality. He'd be the man who knows. He's the guy with the food. East of the Rockies, you're on the air.
Hi, Eric. This is Ken in Kansas City.
Hi, Ken.
KCMO.
You betcha.
I want to comment on arming Bosnia. I really think that's the thing to do. To get the UN out, let them fight their own fight. And I'm hoping that Clinton, he's been against it so long, he can't back out now. So maybe he will, just to save face, let it go through, not veto it, and just let it happen.
Well, maybe, but every time it's mentioned, he brings up the word veto.
Yeah.
So maybe he'll do that, but the indications are that he's going to veto it. And on the other hand, he's a very shrewd politician, and he can count. So can his chief of staff. And if they determine that it is veto-proof numbers, maybe he will sign.
Well, I think it's the best way out for him, because that way you can say, well, everybody's against me, and I might as well just do this, because
there's one little snag in the whole thing. To arm the Bosnians, we've got to first get the UN out. To get the UN out, is going to require 25,000 U.S. troops.
Yeah.
And a few months. Yeah. And no doubt a lot of casualties.
And it may have to be too late for him anyway.
Exactly. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And on this night terror thing,
yes,
my wife goes through the same thing.
She does.
She does. Sometimes it's worms coming up out of the bed, and sometimes she sees what she described as the devil walking into the bedroom. It's always, half real and half dreamlike, and it's creepy. And I've always, like you, I like to live by hunches,
Yes.
And when we were on our honeymoon, she had a dream that her dead grandfather came to us and said, don't go to this one place tomorrow. We didn't go.
You didn't go?
No way.
Did anything happen at the place?
No.
So then you'll never know whether it was because you didn't go or...
Well, it was a 45-minute drive, so... I figured it, and it's not a good drive. It was a bad road anyway.
My advice would be to listen.
Oh, absolutely.
I listen to my hunches, and it's worked for me.
Absolutely. She's always had dreams like this, and I listen to her more than she does.
The last place you want the devils in your bedroom.
That's for sure.
All right, thanks a million.
Thank you.
Take care. I used to think he was in the closet. I mean, everybody, you know, I hate to admit this, but my wife will tell you this true. I still, to this day, do not go to sleep with closets open. I know it seems silly, but everybody knows there's something in the closet, right? It's very dark in there, and you can't see into all the areas. And so if there's anything in there, that's where it's put in the closet office. So this can't be always close the closet. My wife thinks it's very dangerous. And maybe it's just an old habit, you know, but I do that with all those closet doors. I mean, who wants to go to sleep with a monster in a closet? It's obvious.
Maybe it's just
East of the Rockies, you're on the air. Hello. Well, that's somebody playing me back to me. Don't need it. Wildcard line, you're on the air.
Hi, Art. Joey again from a very foggy ocean this time.
Foggy Ocean, huh?
Yeah, we're headed northbound, wondering if visibility. Hey, I wanted to thank you for some of your sponsors.
Well, thank you.
I've got a fairly new 818 that I'm real fond of.
Oh, that's on hot radio.
Yeah, I listened to you guys the other night, BP was on there.
When I was on ham radio.
Yeah.
How did I come in out there?
Oh, you did it pretty good. I was kind of close to your neck of the woods. I was down on San Francisco Bay, so it wasn't far up over the hill.
I must have been blasting in there.
Yeah. And also the final filter. I've got a set of 3-year-old twins. One of them doesn't read real well.
Yes, sir.
Within probably 4 or 5 days, it made a real noticeable difference in my house.
That's right.
And I'm a 3-time user of all foods and fresh flowers. I haven't seen any of it yet, but I hear they work out real well.
Oh, yes. That's generally what you do.
Yeah.
Well, you're a faithful, good listener.
Yeah, one other thing, I agree very much with you should arm the Bosnians.
All right, sir. Look, on that note, and so do I. We're in agreement. I've got to go. I have no choice. The clock is the clock is the clock. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Markwell, Sunday Night Live. Tonight featuring a replay of Coast to Coast AM from July 17th, 1995.
really like. Conservative economically and
like. I don't know what it is.
Well, that's vague. I mean,
It is vague. No, you're
it
right.
can't be the way he looks. That would be absurd. You know, it has to be, you know, I hope you can pinpoint that. I know it's not the way he looks, because that doesn't sound like something you would take into consideration.
Maybe it's his delivery.
He was very matter of fact, very confident, it seemed to me. Not cocky, but very confident. I was rather impressed with him myself.
Well, I don't change what I said. His words were okay, but I'm sorry. I wish I could, put my thumb on it for you.
The other thing, because you're going to have this gentleman on Biden Bial, I was listening to a program, in fact, on your affiliate here in Dallas. They have a scientist named Richard Barrett. He's a very noted, he's an astronomer and a very noted one, in fact.
Yes.
Someone called in about the Roswell issue.
Yes.
Because that had been brought up, and they stated very emphatically they were on a recovery team in Roswell. You ought to bring this up to your guests. And they said that it was a crash of a B-29, and that the bodies have to be crashed or mutilated, and that would take into account, the possibility people might confuse them with aliens. I'm not ruling that out.
Wait a minute now. Hold on. If it was B-29, then why would the Air Force say then and now that it was a balloon?
Well, the balloon story changed a few months ago.
To a new balloon. They called it a balloon train.
Okay, well, I just wish you'd bring that up, because he did say, this caller, he said it to Richard Barronson, he said that he was on the recovery team. It was nothing more than the crash of a B-29.
Well, that flies in the face of all other testimony.
Might be. And anyways, we go along with the campaign coming up. Try to figure out what it is about Spectre you don't like.
I will.
I was really impressed with him. I'm telling you.
All right, thank you. I thought that on some points he beat Buchanan. Because Buchanan had to sit there and basically back the idea of a constitutional amendment for everything that he opposed. And I don't agree with that. I don't think that we need a constitutional amendment to prevent flag burning. I used to think that, but the more I thought about it, the more I thought we don't need it. Because A, there are not many flags burned, and B, people tend to take care of their own, and when you see somebody burning a flag, you punch them in the nose. So it doesn't happen a lot. Fair and square. I don't think there should be a constitutional amendment that would mandate fair and square. I don't think there ought to be mandated fair and square. I think a moment of silence is fine. And I think the president, for all the wrong reasons, political, basically did have it correct the other day when he said, look, the U.S. Supreme Court has not said there may be no religion in school. It's gone too far. I mean, actually, the president was right about that. It was utterly political on his part, but he was right. So I think we need a constitutional amendment for that. And so forth and so on. So it is strange. I agreed with Spectre more than I did Buchanan. But I'm not comfortable with Spectre, and I'm sorry I can't tell you why. East of the Rockies, you're on the air. Hello? No, I guess you're not. First time caller line, we'll put you on. You're on the air, huh? Hello? Hello? Hello?
Well, who is it?
Well, who are you calling?
Oh, I'm calling Art Bell.
Well, doggone, that's who you got.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
I hate to open up old wounds,
It's all right.
but I miss how you caught food and what happened to it.
Oh, yeah, that's an old wound, all right. Maybe not so such an old wound. All right, if you listen on the air, I'd be glad to tell you. Very briefly. It's a very sad story. I had a cat under my house. I don't know where it is. I have no idea what it is. It sounded like all I heard for 2 weeks was just under the house and would never come out. And so I started calling it Ghost. And I built a trap. Stupid trap, U.S. government postal service box, and I put a little stick there and I attached a wire to it and I waited by that window for hours and hours. Ghost in. Actually, brought Ghost into the studio. That's all I hear Ghost. It was a she, by the way. She was a ghost. And next day, took her to the bed. And we were doing the full range of shots. And I do that for my pets. And it was really a heartbreaker. Ghost had feline leukemia. And a fairly advanced stage at that. Plus some total inhuman human being. Apparently threw Ghost out of the car. She had a bad hip injury. And that was from being thrown out of a moving car. So some total jerk drove by here and threw this poor little cat out of a moving car. It was injured, ran under my house. And that's where it was all that time. And so a short, terribly sad life. And the good thing, the only good thing that's come out of all this in Ghost's memory now, is that after I was so heartbroken about all of that. You have no idea. You have no idea. And so that same day, when Ghost had to be put to sleep, I went down to the animal shelter. You know, I live in a little shelter here. And I must have looked at 100 cats. That animal shelter was really full. And I picked out a beautiful, beautiful little cat that we call Shadow. My wife named Shadow Ghost. And I gave out the address for a local animal shelter and said, well, send a donation. You know how it was put together. Send a donation to a local animal shelter. And I said, don't mention my name, just do it. And turns out they're well over $5,000 in that money, I want to tell you. So if anything came out of Ghost's short, sad life, it was these wonderful donations that you sent. It will build additional facilities, which will be dedicated to Ghost, I'm told. And we'll be able to house many, many more animals. And we're, I don't know, if not, we're certainly the largest county in Nevada, and second or third largest or something in the whole country. It's a big county. So they've got a lot of responsibility. And a lot of animals, they're really overloaded, and it really means a lot. I guess I don't have to tell you what it means when they can house an animal instead of, as opposed to the alternative. So the donations that you all sent really are going to an extremely good cause. And again, I want to say thank you. That is the story. Wildcard Line, you're on the air. Hello.
Yes, hello, Art Bell. I have a couple tidbits here. I'm not going to quickly possible, but let me just say as regards to personages that you feel, quote, something doesn't feel quite right about them. It has nothing to do with physical characteristics. If a person is sensitive to it, people, when you see their presence, either in person or on television, they send out a vibration. And if you are sensitive to that, that's what you're feeling. Now, as for the tidbits, it's just something.
Just before you continue, even though I was not much in agreement with Pat Buchanan this last weekend, I like him a whole lot more. Pat Buchanan comes across as a sincere person who believes in what he's saying and not afraid to say what he says. That I'm in disagreement with it. That aside, I'm comfortable with Pat Buchanan.
That's the good. If you feel comfortable with people, that's the part that's fine. This past Sunday, I will not mention your name, but there's a very well-known news analyst who was on radio being interviewed.
Yes.
And the host was asking him what he thought would be the outcome of Bosnia and so forth. And this fellow, very famous, said, I'm not sure yet what policy the Clintons will adopt. Now, I happen to have taped that show, so I know I wasn't in the Twilight Zone. And he is too well-versed. He's been around for quite a few years. He would have said the Clinton administration. He said the Clintons as the two presidents, and I thought it was very interesting. Maybe we should listen to that again. The final thing is this. You talk also about the quickening.
Yes.
If you can handle the quickening with a capital Q, I'm going to make a possible quick thing that may happen much faster than people realize, and it will not emanate from Mother Nature. I'm
guess?
Well, I do, and if I had to guess, it would be an emergency operation. First with jet aircraft over Bosnia, identifying and taking out anti-aircraft positions, followed by the Chinook and Blackhawks and Apaches and a lot of European troops and a lot of military occurrences in Bosnia. Could that occur concurrent with the humans? Yes, it could. If they pushed it. It seems a lot to get going, but certainly it could. Is it likely to occur? Yes. Is it a diversion? Well, yeah, you could view it that way. Is it time to be a diversion if it occurs this week? Then possibly. I don't know. These accusations and allegations about diversion are made all the time. And who am I to say that some of them are not so? Wildcard line, you're on the air. Hi. Just fine.
Nomad from Beaverton, Oregon.
Nomad from Beaverton. How you doing?
Alright, by the way, I hate that. I probably should tell you that.
Well, you should hate the phone.
You know, I got cut off. I got crossed twice. And I remember a couple of weeks ago, you hit the button, you said, the wild card line, and it cut me right off.
Well, you know, I just didn't want to tell you about that. I made my best shot with the phone company. They won't change. My name's Bell. It doesn't matter. I don't care. So, what could I tell you, sir?
Well, I have something to say out there, even for you. This is really confusing, but I don't even know what it is. I'm real better. So there's this really weird thing. We'll get up at night sometimes. And, you know, it's kind of like sleepwalking.
My sister sleepwalked.
But the thing with him is he runs around screaming. But he doesn't, he doesn't know who we are, though. You know, he'll look at us right in the face and say, where's my mom? You know, he'll be somehow involved in it. He's looking right in his face, and he'll be like, where's my mom? I want my mom. And it's really freaky.
Didn't know you were weird possession.
Uh-oh.
I'm not saying that. I have no idea.
Yeah, I have no idea either. Because, we just taken to a few doctors, and they said, we don't know, you might go on it. So,
yeah, right. That's what they say when they have no idea what it is.
yeah, that's what just makes sense. He might go out of it.
Well, he might.
It might, yeah.
Or it might take over completely.
I don't want to see that day, actually.
I do understand. Thank you very much. Boy, that's weird. My sister was a sleepwalker, and it is eerie. I mean, she would get up in the middle of the night and just wander off. Or wander around the house like a ghost in the night. Maybe go into a closet and just stand there. It's really weird. Really freaky, even. What he just described is also very weird. East of the Rockies, you're on the air. Hello.
Hi, Art, we have a good question for your guest.
Yes.
Have you heard the theory that, at least one explanation for the photograph, that there is a disease, what is it called? What's the disease? Cateau syndrome? Have you heard that? P-A-T-A-U.
Vaguely, which does what?
Okay, I have a short article, I'll fax it to you, but this guy goes through point by point and explains how this syndrome can cause the exact genetic effects on a human that are depicted in this photograph.
You mean 6 digits, for example, on
6 digits?
on both hands?
Right, 6 digits.
What I've heard, sir, is that 6 digits are indeed possible, but usually one hand at the most, or 1 foot, see the brain in the quilt, was distinctly non-human. The eyes and the ears seemed disproportionate. The belly distended. There are so many things about this body.
Right.
But it does. Have you seen the photograph?
Yeah, we've got the photographs, and we have this short little article, and it goes through point by point. And yeah, you're right. But it does also explain that each one of those things, each one of those distortions of that body, can be explained at least through this extremely rare genetic disorder that can cause widened eyes that are twice the size of a normal human eye. It's fairly well documented, and we don't have your fax number. We'd like to fax to you, and you could look it over with me.
I'll give you my fax number.
Okay. We're interested in this too. We're just thinking that this. I'd like to hear the guest. I'm sure he's been confronted with some of this. Maybe he has a certain opinion about it.
Maybe so.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for the call. I would say the odds, along with the pathology report that I've got here, that the odds of this creature, in my opinion, being human are slim enough. I don't think it is a human. Now, maybe some of the rest of you would have seen the photographs that would like to comment. I know that by now many hundreds of you have seen them. What's going on here is that about an hour ago, I talked to Ray Santilli in London, and I am going over the next half hour to try to get hold of Ray Santilli. I may be able to do it in the break coming up. Who knows? Maybe not. At any rate, we're going to try to get a hold of him and talk to him about this incredible film. I mean, it is nothing short of incredible, and the stills from it are as well. So that's what we'll do, and I believe in going straight to the horse's mouth. And in this case, the horse is Ray Santilli. So we'll try to pick up the phone line if I can get one, and work down in London and get Ray on the phone. It should be an interesting exercise. So if you've been concerned with following the story of the amazing Roswell footage, stand by to stand by. No guarantees, but we'll give it a shot. Maybe from London, Ray Santilli coming up next.
You're listening to Rockwell, Summer in Time on Radio Networks. Another encore presentation of Coast to Coast AM from July 17, 1995.
transmitted worldwide
mean, we found him by accident, and we originally met him and discussed a completely different subject with him because this guy basically wanted to the military. We purchased some other footage from him, which was strictly on private basis.
I heard you were originally after Elvis Presley early footage or something, and then stumbled into this. Is that
we were doing the early rock and roll and the influences that it had on society and what concerned the damage rock and roll was to the youth of the day. And we purchased some footage from John the freelance cameraman in 55, and he shot some relevant footage. And when we bought the footage from him, he then explained that prior to 52 he worked in the military, and then he relayed the story of Roswell. And at the time we kind of flew what Roswell was about. Someone said, if you think it's ridiculous, you go and have a look at it, which is what we did. Yeah, and it's a remarkable piece of film. So we went through the various.
Well, hello and welcome to the stream. What's up? Let me get something pretty cool. A pretty good standard beat. Oh, very good. You doing all right?
Curly phone cord. Well, they didn't have a curly phone cord in 1945, but that's not true, is it? They did.
Yeah, I mean, when the stills were first released, there was a great deal of fuss about the telephone that was in the picture, and then I think someone traced the call down to 1939. There was the things about this film that seems to have bothered most people is firstly that the creatures are all female. That seems to have upset quite a few people.
I wonder why.
The other reason is that these creatures are quite muscly, and people have got this perceived idea of what an ET or an alien should look like, and this doesn't comply.
Yes.
And not only that, all the creatures that were recovered were female. They were, as I said before, they were quite muscly, and it's just a strange curiosity. I mean, that's the only way you can really describe the film.
Well, let me tell you this, Ray, and maybe it hit you the same way. I guess you're not a ufologist, you've not been following this kind of thing at all.
I've never seen a UFO or a ghost in my life.
So, when I first saw the stills, Ray, I was shocked, and I guess I was very impressed because, frankly, it is my idea. You hear of the little grays, and you hear of the light people and the big beings and the Nordics and all the rest of it. And this is sort of almost human, but to me, obviously not human. And I thought it was all the more impressive because of that.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it's an interesting thing because, you look at these creatures and they're obviously very, very muscly. I mean, they've got very well-developed muscle tone. And, if these creatures are out there abducting people or whatever, you'd understand why people wouldn't be able to move once they were in the grip of one of these people. I mean, it's just a very curious-looking creature. I don't know. I mean, there are many descriptions about what these creatures should look like, and I just don't know where this sits amongst them all because I'm not an expert on the subject. It just is a very strange piece of film.
All right. What about the clock in the film? There were questions, I believe, about the clock as well.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I'm not an expert on clocks or telephones. The only thing I can tell you is that the footage comes from 1947 as far as we're aware, and therefore everything on it has to be 1947. People say to me, well, do we think the film is a hoax? The only thing I can say is that when we first got this footage, first acquired it in January of this year, we could have told it 100 times over, taken some money and walked away in January, and with no further commitment at all. The only reason that we still have the film and that we're working with the film is just a show of our confidence in the fact that it's genuine. We will work with it because hopefully we will have something that will last a good few years and that will be of benefit to everyone.
Well, I would listen, Ray. I also want to say to you that I don't blame you a bit. If I had film like that, you're not a ufologist. Your life is not devoted to trying to prove or disprove this one way or the other. And I don't blame you. I mean, if you can make some dollars from this, you paid dollars for it. There's nothing wrong with that.
No, there are a couple of things. Firstly, there are elements of the UFO community that are very upset that we have this on because we're a commercial organisation. Well, we haven't spent years in the library or going through various books and researching the subjects, and so I can understand that us having the film is probably not the ideal situation for them. But if we hadn't have been a commercial company, we wouldn't have found it in the first place.
That's right.
We only stumbled across this guy because of the commercial field that we're in.
I've got a report here from Dr. Milroy.
Yes, he's the Home Office pathologist that works here in the UK. He's a senior sort of forensic pathologist. He's involved in conducting autopsies and so forth for the police, and various high-profile type of cases.
And while he did complain about some blurriness in the film in a couple points, he said that the brain that was exposed looked to him, his words, however, he says, the appearances were not those of a human brain.
That's right. There are many things about the creature that are strange. It's not just the brain. You have to remember that Dr. Milroy is a professional and he's an academic. You can't expect these people to go as far as saying this is an alien creature because their reputation is at stake. They go as far as they can. That report, although he doesn't say this creature is an ET or an alien, he's gone as far as he professionally can.
Yes.
And it doesn't help, if